Hey guys, in this video, I am going to be going over why I think your biggest fear or scariest thing for me in this life is not the fear of failure. That does not scare me at all. It is the fear of being average. And I know that sounds silly. Okay, let me get comfortable for this video before we start rambling on. But the thought of being not comfortable, because comfortable, I mean comfortable in the bad sense, comfortable, stuck, forgettable, living like a mediocre, average kind of life, not setting myself up for the future, not, whether it being in the best shape, having the best health, making the most, living to your full potential. That's what I'm getting at, actually, living to your full potential. And if that does not terrify you, my friend, it should. So that's what we're going to be going over in this video. And let's just get straight into it. Okay, so for me, what that means when I say average, right? When you're like watching a YouTube video or you're watching like the news or something like that, and they're talking about, oh, the average person is living paycheck to paycheck. The average person is working a job they hate. You know what I mean? Living in a relationship that they don't want to be in, not making the money that they don't want to be in. And you're hearing like, okay, that's the average that people are getting to in this life. Or when you're speaking about, oh, you have the top 10% or you have the top 1%, and then you have the normal people or average people, which I will never be referenced to. And you should never want to be referenced to, because I don't necessarily think it's hard to do more or get more than the average person in this life. And I think if you do and you follow the path that is set up for you, and I do also think that path is set up by the people that own stuff, the people that create stuff, the people that basically want to keep you at the average level to make you then live that life, if that makes sense. Whether it's go to school and you're being taught certain things and to behave in certain ways. Like even when I was like studying, I read this book on sociology, and it was talking about basically the education system, who it was set up by, how it was made to create workers basically, and not people that think for themselves, because obviously it benefited people who were on top. And that really made me think, I think as well, because I was like, okay, how you hear nowadays people are going to university and basically coming out with all these degrees and not making a whole bunch of money, or not making a decent amount of money anyway, or they're stuck in a job that they hate, and you only get 2 holidays a year, or you only get this amount of time, or you won't. And I was like, do I really want that for myself? No. And I also think a whole load of people in this world don't want that for themselves either. But because they followed that path, and because they done what they were told to do and what everyone is told to do, which is obviously go to school, go to university, get a job, get a mortgage, put money into your pension, whatnot. But if we look around your peers, are you seeing those people that are doing that are necessarily happy, that they are, not living paycheck to paycheck? Or are they complaining about their lives? Are they saying how, oh, it's not fair how, I don't have this or I don't have that? But are you setting yourself up in a way that's different to what the average person is achieving? Because it doesn't seem to be. And with this, I somehow kind of think that even though I don't necessarily think that, okay, people intentionally are like, putting themselves in that position, or intentionally, not doing what they want to do. Of course, everyone has a dream, and of course, everyone wants to achieve these certain things. But I also feel like if you're not intentionally every single day putting in the effort to create, whether it be have your dream job or have your dream business or have your dream body, not that you don't deserve, but I don't think necessarily you deserve to complain about not having a certain thing or other people having that certain thing if you did not do anything out of the ordinary to get to where you are currently. So what I mean by that is, if you're, seeing business owners or seeing people make millions or making 6 figures, and you're there working in wherever, obviously, you're getting your coin, you're doing your thing, that's a great thing. But if you're unhappy, that's what I mean, and you're thinking, oh, it's not fair, like how did they get to where they are, and how are they doing that, and it's not fair that people are making all that money and I'm just where I am and I'm not doing this and I'm not doing XYZ. Have you put any effort into actually wanting to get to that place? Or have you just thought, okay, I went to school, I went to university, and now I'm working in, retail, and I'm unhappy, and I'm working hours that I don't want to work, and I'm not able to travel the world. Let's say if you really wanted to travel the world, and I'm, living paycheck to paycheck, I'm not making good money. However, if you put the effort in designing a life that you want to do. I even mean that in the sense that you could be working at whatever retail job you work, or this could be, you're in the corporate world already making great money in the city, but you're not happy. My question is, what are you doing to get out of that? Because whatever you're not putting in the effort to change or putting in the effort to create, you're accepting, and that's your fault. So if we go down to, health wise and body wise and whatnot, if you're overweight and you're complaining every day, oh, it's not fair and I don't like how I look, and you're looking in the mirror, you're unhappy with how you look, but you're not intentionally every day, whether it be going to the gym, putting good, healthy, nutritious food in your mouth. I'm sorry to put it bluntly, you're in control of how you spend your time, what you put in your mouth, and you decide whether, okay, I'm going to go on a walk and get my 10,000 steps in, or I'm going to go to the gym and work out whatever, or I'm going to sit here and watch EastEnders. You make that decision, so you have to make your bed, not complain and be upset that you don't have what you want. Why I personally think people stay average, right, or normal, average, whatever you want to call it, is one, the fear of judgment. Now, for example, when it came to making these videos or making my content, I put it off for so long, because I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cringe. What are people going to think? This, that, and the other. Like, I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to get there. Like, deep down, I knew I wanted to make the content. And realistically, I had to think about it. I was watching this other video. The people that, not that I'm saying like, okay, oh my gosh, I've got haters, you know what I mean? Obviously not. But like the people who were going to sit there and complain about, oh, this video's cringe, or oh, this, that, and the other. But what are they doing with their life? Because I really think people who are doing what they're doing up in life, I never sat there complaining about other people. It's always the people who are doing the complaining and who are doing the gossiping and who are doing all the... So really and truly, if you're looking at your bank balance and you're broke, you're not seeing numbers that you want to be seeing, you're, not living the life that you want to be doing, whether it be making the content or starting something else, it might be a bit cringy at the start, but this fear of all this judgment, you're not going to look cool. You have to disassociate yourself with the word cool for a bit, because it's not going to be cool in the early stages, right? Another reason is that I think people have a fear of failure, rather than embracing failure and being like, okay, I can learn from that bad experience, or I can learn from what went wrong with that. People like to cling to the idea of safety and not necessarily want to do something wrong or think it's going to be embarrassing or whatnot. That's another reason. Another one is comfort zones. So comfort zone traps, for example, Netflix, drinking, gossiping, distractions. Now, don't get me wrong. We all like to have a little gossip sometimes, okay? But if you're surrounding yourself with people who do that all the time, or you're a person that does that all the time, or you're scrolling on Instagram, TikTok 6 hours a day and then complaining, oh, well, I'm not making any money and it's not fair. Let's be so serious right now. And then also external influences. So you have friends, you have family reinforcing the idea of just being realistic. Like, you could tell someone, like, I've heard it myself, and I will not, internalize it, but like, let's say myself, I had the goal this year that I was like, okay, I want to make 10k a month, right, with my business. Now, when I told certain people, it was like, I'm not going to go into detail with this because I already made a video on it, but I knew that it was doable. But was it normal for the average person? No, I'm not going to go too much into that one. But that was achieved, by the way. That goal was achieved. And now it's my baseline. Like, the goal is, okay, I want to be making that much each month minimum. However, you need to surround yourself with people who have a growth mindset and want to achieve more, because by surrounding yourself with people who are, oh, let's just be realistic, let's just, settle for a mediocre life, is not going to get you to where you want to be or where you want to go if you have those ambitions. Also, what I think the cost of being average is that, for me personally, I'm going to talk from personal experience, I knew that I didn't want to get to 40, 50, 60 and look back and be like, I wasted time. You know, when you see on these TikTok videos and you're like, and they're like, oh, if you were younger, what would you want to do? I would want to travel. I wish I didn't stay with this guy for so long. I wish I, started something else and didn't blah, blah, blah. I was like, I don't want to look back. And obviously it's different for everyone. I knew for myself, one of the reasons I started my business anyways, because I know I love to travel, and 2 weeks a year was not going to cut it for me. I was in Brazil in South America for like a month this year, and plan to do the same next year and have a whole bunch of trips. Now, that's not to be like, wow, that's to be like, I knew that's what I wanted to do. How was I going to do it? Sorry guys, my microphone has died, but missed opportunities. You couldn't go, whether you wanted to take this trip or you wanted to move to that place, but you didn't have the funds. It's setting yourself up in a way that makes sure that you can do these certain things, which the average person cannot do. And then also watching others live the life that you wanted to live. Now, this used to be me a lot when I was younger. I would be on TikTok, I would be on Instagram, I'd be on YouTube, watching all these people live these really, really cool great lives, traveling. Like I said, that was a big one for me, whether it be buying the things that they wanted to do, have the cars, the apartments, whatever. And I was so like, oh, that's not fair, how can people living this life? I want to do these things, but I was not doing it. And I was like, oh, for example, having that dream body, and I was like, I literally spoke to myself, and which I do all the time, you know, those people that just always speaking to themselves in their head, and hopefully it's not like a mental issue. But I was like to myself, realistically, it's not going to get me anywhere if I'm constantly being like, oh, it's not fair, like what, and I'm not doing anything about it. If you know me, I'm going to actually insert my little vision board here so you can see. I made a vision board and I was very, very intentional. I wrote out exactly how I wanted to look, what I wanted to be doing, how much I wanted to be making, where I wanted to live, the type of apartment that I wanted to live, the type of car that I want to live. And granted, not all of those things I have now, but I know, and I'm very intentional with how I spend my time to achieve those things. When you're watching all these people live these lives or do all these things, when you say, okay, that's unrealistic, I'm so broke, I'll never be able to achieve that, you're not just saying these things, you're internalizing these things too, which I think is so important. I could make another video on that. What I'm trying to say basically is don't close yourself off to these things, because it's very much achievable. And the cost of being average is thinking that you're not going to be able to do these things and watching other people live these, oh, the life of the 1%, the life of the 10%. Now lastly, because guys, you know, I could ramble on for ages and ages and ages, let's put some action steps. Not only how I structure my life in a way that is going to make sure that I'm not in that position, but also for you, how you could break out of it too. One is surrounding yourself with people who have the goal to do these things too. Now, granted, not everyone can up and move to, you know, whether it be the capital city, London, New York, whatever. You might be in a small town and you might really, really love your current friends and family, but you know, they're not really going anywhere in life. What I would say to this is, if you're speaking with these people and you're internalizing what they say and you're consuming their negative beliefs, start, whether it be honestly reading books. I know people today have the attention span of a goldfish, but you can't let ChatGPT or these social networks fry your brain, guys. You have to think for yourself. But anyway, read books, watch podcasts of people who are making a whole bunch of money and living the type of life that you want to live. The content that you're consuming, make sure it's to do with where you want to go. So even if you can't create that circle right now, you might be 17, you might be 20, whatever, and you can't just up and leave right now, but you can make sure that the things that you're consuming on a daily basis is positive and reinforces that things aren't achievable. And also setting standards so high that they scare you. Now for me, how I'd kind of done that was making sure that, like, you know how you have, like I said, the average, like, oh, we'll go to school, we'll go to university, we'll get a mortgage, we'll do this, we'll do that. I was like, nah, I want to be making this amount of money, I want to be living in this type of apartment, I want to be living this type of car. And the thing is, I wouldn't even say that it scares me, because it sounds bad, but like, I know I'm gonna do it anyway. Even when I said, when I was like, oh, when I first started the business and I was like, okay, the goal is to be making less than 10k a month, I knew I was gonna do it. I knew I was gonna get to that point, but also sometimes I'd be like, oh, okay, that's a bit much, you know. Now obviously that's raised. I have set a new goal of where I want to be. Ideally that will be done. Yes, set very high standards and don't just set them, put an action plan towards achieving them. How I done this, not only is, if you look, like I said, my vision board, if you look at the vision board, every single day I open my computer, every single day I looked at my phone, I am seeing what the things, how I want to live, what I want to do, and that reinforces it. And it makes sure when I'm about to go on TikTok, like I said, I still do all those things. I'm making sure that, okay, I'm not spending 3 hours on TikTok. I have things to do, I have money to make. Now also invest in, you know, self-education, your health, your mindset, yourself. I think that's a very bigger thing as well, because you spend your money on whatever you want to spend your money on. But if you want to be, you know, whether it be making a certain amount of money or doing whatever, you need to put the steps in now, those building blocks. Let's say if you're building a house, it's not just going to magically appear. You need to slowly put the bricks in place, put the, I don't even know how you build a house, but you want to make sure structure and the foundations are solid for, because if you just have the house and this foundation isn't there, it's going to crumble anyway. So that's just to say, invest in yourself, your self-education. You want to, you know, learn this certain thing. I feel like being a smart person is such like a great thing. You can like talk about this. I love smart people. Another one is taking action early. Like with making these videos, I might not be completely ready to speak on all these different topics, but sometimes you just have to do before you have all the tools in your toolbox. If you want to start the business, do it before you have everything ready and everything perfected. If you want to do whatever, sometimes you just have to take the leap, because a lot of the people doing all these amazing crazy things, they're not as qualified as you really think they are. Another is building skills relentlessly. Now, to be and to have extraordinary things in this life, you have to do more than the average person. I say average, and I don't mean in a horrible, terrible way, but like average people consume, extraordinary people create. You know what I mean? So rather than consuming, watching TV, scrolling on TikTok, create the life that you want. That doesn't have to necessarily be content. However, I do think that can get you in many different places, but that could be, it means very different things to different people. Lastly, I would say building daily habits that again are going to push you in that direction. Now I'm a lot more where my business is at right now. I'm a lot more focused on doing client work and building my teams and doing all of that. When I first started, because I do think as well, like, I'm not going to say what I do right now, because where I am right now and what I do right now is different to, let's say, when I was going from 0 to 5k, from 5k to 10k. Those are going to be different things compared to, let's say, if you were a business that was doing like $1 million a month, what you do then is going to be different to what you do when you started. But what I'm trying to say is, when I first started, my main focus was, one, I was reading a lot, especially when I started, I was like, it was prime COVID time, so we were doing like online lessons and I was studying for all my exams and whatnot, but there was a lot of free time. We couldn't literally go out, so I was literally reading all the time, books on investing, on finance, on psychology, on mindset, on growth mindset, on fixed mindset, on those types of things. I was going to the gym. This was when the gyms finally opened up after COVID, and making sure I was, you know, working the mind muscle but also working the body muscle so I could look good, feel good, whatnot. I also was big into journaling. I think that was a really helpful thing, and like every day practicing gratitude, I actually think it really helped. Like, it is different for everyone, but I actually think it really helped. Now as well, creating content, that's a good one. If that's what you feel that's your calling to do, well, get right on it, don't put it off. But like I said, different for everyone. And building new skills, for me, that was, you know, building the skill of advertising, learning all of that, Google ads, Meta ads, Pinterest, Snapchat, but then also sales. I think sales is such a big thing and you can make a lot of money with sales. But yeah, anyway, like I said, I don't want to rabble on too much, but you should really fear being average more than you fear failure. Failure will teach you lessons in life. Being average will kill your soul, and I mean that literally. Anyway, the choice is yours. Do you want to blend in? Do you want to stand out? It's up to you. I know what I'm gonna do, I know what you should do, but at the end of the day, it's your life. So lots of love. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next week.